Hey everybody, I'm Monty, and Channel 5 is reporting that after leaving school in 1978 to help support his family, Jim Carrey worked for 2 years as a janitor in a factory.
Wow, didn't know that. Okay, Todd E. Webb, Channel 5 reporting that 10% of all the players in the Pro Football Hall of Fame are from HBCUs.
Oh.
34 out of the 354 athletes that are in the Canton right now are from HBCUs.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And that is right in line with what we're going to talk about. Guys, welcome back. Another episode, Channel 5. We in the building. We got some important things to talk about today, but I got a good guest for me. He's been on the show before in various forms, shareholders, things like that. Mr. Todd E. Webb, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing well. God is good. Good to see you.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. It's a blessing to be here. So, guys, we're going to get right into it. Big news broke, I guess, last week, early, maybe even a little bit before that, in terms of Coach Prime, Deion Sanders.
Prime time.
Prime time himself helped this team win the championship.
Well, watch yourself.
A couple others, like helped the Dallas Cowboys as well.
Dallas Cowboys.
That as much. But if you don't know, he's been doing quite well for himself. And he was on the NFL Network, was basically almost the face of the broadcast team there for many years. Very entertaining. And then he actually took a job. He took a coaching job at Jackson State, as you heard Mr. Webb say in the open at his HBCU, Jackson State football, and he took over the team there. Now, many of us didn't even know he had coaching aspirations. I sure did not know that. Did you know that at all? Did you know he wanted to coach at all?
Well, I kind of felt that he was headed in that trajectory. Remember, he coached our high school teams.
Yeah, he do a little bit of.
And he dibble dab, but I believe he coached also one of the NFL.
I think he did like a Pro Bowl thing or something.
So I knew he had a little bit of coaching aspirations, but not really serious on the collegiate level.
Yeah, I didn't know if he was just kind of doing a celebrity thing and just kind of pop in, pop out. But so in 2020, he took over the team. Of course, 2020 was pandemic time. Took over the team, had a 4-3 record for that shortened season. Right. And then 2021, they went 11-2, 8-0.
Balling out.
Finished first in the conference. And then this year they went undefeated, 12-0, first in the conference again. They got a bowl coming up. And he's 27-5 in 3 years at Jackson State, 19-2 in the conference. He's gone undefeated 2 years in the conference. I mean, soaring success. I don't know. And it's not, it's not just he's just out there just waving his hand and not. I mean, he's really doing it. He's coaching these guys. He's even got a little documentary thing that he's done before, and we'll get into kind of the, the Prime promotion. But he then, after this season, he announced that he would be taking a job at the University of Colorado. Now, again, for those that kind of don't understand, Colorado Buffaloes, that's right. Jackson State is an HBCU. It's a historically Black college that's in the Southwestern Athletic League. It's in the SWAC. Now, that's not in, there's kind of the 5 major conferences. Let me quickly just kind of hit this. I'm sorry, but there's ACC, there's the Big Ten, SEC, Pac-10, the conference.
The Pac-12. Did you hit that?
I hit that one. There's the other one with I'm sorry, I'm blanking. I should have had that, but it's kind of 5 major conferences. Did
you hit Mountain West?
Is it Mountain West? It might be Mountain West. I don't know if there's the Power 5 and then there's like the other 5. But
right.
And so Jackson State is not in either of those. They're kind of just a small school, and they play, and it's still a lot of pride, still a lot of history with it. But you're not going to kind of play for the national championship. Colorado is in the Pac-12. It is a Power 5, as they say, conference. And so he's moved on to there, and there's a lot of ripple effects with that. So first, let's go back, because we're talking about the man to begin with. What were your thoughts on Deion, kind of the player, Deion, the kind of NFL analyst, Deion, the businessman, motivational speaker, which he did a lot of, and then Deion the coach. Give me your full unfiltered thoughts on him.
Well, I can do that in 2 words: prime time.
Prime time.
Deion is ready for prime time. I think what Deion Sanders did, when he took the model from Muhammad Ali, right, and put a little poetry, in his game, right, did a whole lot of talking. Flash, if you want to call it, he was one of, in that early age of late 90s, early 2000s, he was really branding himself for this very moment, all the way from the beginning, from how he played the game, how he celebrated his touchdown, his swag, all the way into the end zone. So he was all about prime time, all about swag, all about branding through how he played. And the crazy part about Deion Sanders, he could back up all of the talk, like Muhammad Ali. He could do the talking and he can do the walking as well. I mean, look, he's probably one of the greatest all-time athletes, period. Not just football players, but athletes. He's one of only handful of athletes in sports history to play 2 consecutive sports at the same time, at that higher level. It's hard enough getting to the NFL alone, but to be able to play the NFL and then play Major League Baseball at the same time. I mean, he's legendary for playing that football game with the Falcons in the early afternoon, getting on a flight and heading to, I think it was New York, I believe, and playing in a baseball game. That's nuts. I mean, the athletic, the body itself, it was not built to do that. But Deion, being the exceptional athlete that he is, was able to pull that off. So, one word, 2 words: prime time. 1 word: swag.
Yeah, I mean, and you got to understand, guys, that what Deion did on the football field and that promoting of himself is very hard, because just from any marketing guy will tell you, it's hard for football players because they wear helmets. So you don't really see them, not like basketball players. Basketball players are much easier to market because you can see their face. So I know what LeBron James looks like. I know what Steph Curry looks like. I don't necessarily know what the cornerback for the New York Jets looks like. He's just got a helmet on. It's hard to tell. But Deion, you knew his face. You knew who he was. He parlayed all of that, which was brilliant. And most importantly, like you said, just like Ali, he didn't just talk it, he walked it and he backed it up. He literally is probably the best cover corner in the history of the game. Maybe only 2 or 3 guys you could even say in this sentence to bring it up. And he's a great return man. And like you said, a 2-sport star. Played for the Braves. Yeah, played for the Braves, played for the Yankees as well in baseball. And was really good, kind of reminds you of like Bo Jackson. So he and then even as he went as a commentator, he always kind of had, like you said, that swag. You always wanted to hear what Deion had to say. Yeah. And he was respected, and so I remember when I heard he took the Jackson State job. First of all, I'm going to be honest. I barely knew about Jackson. I know HBCUs, but when you talk about football, I know Grambling, you know what I'm saying? I know Southern, the Southern Classic, and, Prairie View and Alcorn State, Steve McNair. But Jackson State, I was like, man, Jackson State, wow, why Jackson State? But he chose them and he killed it. He just totally killed it. So we move on now, because here's kind of what we want to really talk about, is the fact that some people, when he took the Colorado job, were very glad for him. Other people were not glad. And that's why we're calling this, Deion Sanders, this episode is Deion Sanders and the Black Sellout. Some people feel like he sold Jackson State out. He kind of played them. I've seen articles saying he pimped Jackson State to get a better job. I've been on Twitter, people have been arguing about it, like, oh, he just was all about him. He's always been about himself. He don't care about the kids. Now he's going to just run to another university and leave, Jackson State dry, kind of like another brother selling out in any capacities. And so I want to ask you, do you agree with any of that sentiment? Do you have any pushback on it? Or do you feel like there's some middle ground in it at all?
Well, let me give a shout out to Wilberforce, first of all, because I'm familiar with all those other HBCUs. I went to HBCU. I went to Wilberforce University, the first owned and operated historically Black college, 1856. Just thought I'd get that shameless plug in. but we didn't have no football team. So I'm gonna leave it there. Now with Deion, listen, so where do I start? So I always knew once he took that job, I knew it was a marriage of convenience, right? I knew it was an opportunity for him to show his coaching skills, his ability to recruit, his ability to put together a coaching staff. And once he, had that winning season, once that ideal job opened up, that he was going to be, excuse the pun, a prime candidate to go ahead and make that move. So I wasn't surprised. Listen, let's do some history of Deion Sanders. Deion Sanders, you mentioned earlier in your intro that Deion played for the 49ers, your beloved 49ers, and he also played for the Cowboys. I always thought that was a conflict of interest, right? They're not necessarily, are they division rivals?
Oh, not in division, but conference rivals for sure.
There you go, conference
that
rivals.
Was a big,
and
when he came to us and then he went to the Cowboys, that was in the middle of a heated war between those two teams, yeah.
But so that ought to tell you something about Deion Sanders right there, right? I couldn't play for, put it like this, if I played for the Ohio State Buckeyes, I couldn't go coach for that team up north, right?
Right.
That's, to me, that's a conflict of interest. I don't care how much money they offered me, how much of the opportunity they gave me, I couldn't do it, right? So for Deion, the 49ers to the Cowboys, the Cowboys 49ers, will tell you a little bit about Deion's, Deion's desire just to do what Deion wanted to do, right? Always branding, always pushing that envelope, I thought. So I'm kind of in the middle. I'm for any man that wants to better himself, right? Through advancement through either his business or either entertainment or through the sports world or coaching. Yeah, that's his right to do so, right? Don't hurt nobody. Yeah. What he did for Jackson State, he put them on the Pearl River map. You didn't hear about them. You know about the Gramblings, right? Right, with Eddie Robinson, right? And you know about Alcorn State and some of the other high-profile historically Black colleges. But now, Jackson State will forever be, burned into your mind because Deion Sanders put his stamp, so to speak, on that particular program. Now, what he also did, he made history a couple of different times, right? He had the #1 recruit, Travis Hunter, right? He was the #1 player, high school player, coming out of high school. I believe it was 2019, and he recruited that kid, and that kid went to a historically Black college. Not one of the Power Five you mentioned, right? But not one of the FCS schools, but one of the historically Black colleges. The #1 player in the nation, right? Sought after by teams like Alabama, the Ohio State, Texas. The list goes on and on. But Deion was able to recruit him because of his credentials, right? Because of the Super Bowls, because of the outstanding athlete that he was, because he was a shutdown corner. Travis Hunter said, hey, I'm going to get to the league, right? My path may be a little bit different, but I want to be coached by the best at his position, right? So, and Deion is one of the 10%. Well, Deion didn't go to a straight Black college, but he is one of the African-American males, few African-American males that are in the Hall of Fame. So I'm kind of in the middle, right? The man, I think he's earned it, right, through his success, right? But then the other part of me, the historically Black college part of me, is like, oh, come on, man. Come on, Deion. Because just 2 months ago, 8 weeks ago, you had a situation midfield. I don't know if you remember this. He had midfield with one of the SWAC coaches, right? Where it's customary, right? Sportsmanship that you shake hands, dap it up with the other coach, win, lose, or draw, right? But the other coach wouldn't shake hands with Deion. Deion made a comment. Deion said, "I am SWAC." Remember he said that?
Oh, because the guy said he not. That was actually Eddie. I believe that was Eddie Robinson's son.
Yes, sir.
And he said he didn't respect Deion. He felt like Deion wasn't really about SWAC. And then Deion came back with the I am SWAC, which is the conference, right?
Right. But 8 weeks later, you leave SWAC, right? For personal advancement, right? Which he's entitled to. So I'm like, are you SWAC or are you whack? I mean, what are you, man? Are you how you gonna play, right? How you going to say you won and then turn around and leave, right? So So I'm torn, man. I'm torn. What are your thoughts, man?
Well, you know what? And I want to say quickly too. Now, don't get it twisted. Deion, he was earning a $300,000 salary at Jackson State. He was only taking 150,000 of that. He was giving 150,000 back to help the program. He did a lot for Jackson State. Let's not get it twisted. I mean, he had grants coming. He got them deals and stuff and all things that coaches don't necessarily have to do, and really a lot of coaches can't even do, even if they wanted to. But
Right.
because of his name, he really put into that. And so for some that don't understand the world of college athletics, these coaches are really salesmen. Like in the professional ranks, you draft guys, guys that are good enough. You just draft them, they got to be on your team. But in college, you got to go talk to these kids and you got to woo them. And, we want you to come to our university. You got to be in the living rooms and stuff. And that's why a lot of these players really play for the coach. They kind of don't even care about the school. And then if the coach leaves, the way college football is now, you can leave with the coach, go wherever the coach goes. And, there used to be a penalty for that, but now there's no penalty. So you got to be a great salesman, And I've heard there's an old saying about the University of Alabama coach, Nick Saban. One mother of a recruit said, Nick talked so good, if he wanted me to come, I'd have came with him too. He took my son, I'd have came with him, because these guys are well able, and Deion is a great recruiter of talent. So I want, of course, the best for the HBCUs, and he feels like he's laid a blueprint. If you're a fan of Jackson State, you got every reason to be, feeling some type of way. I got no problem with that. I got a problem though with people that aren't really fans of Jackson State, ain't heard of Jackson State,
Right.
wasn't thinking about Jackson State. Now all of a sudden you're weeping from Jackson State. Like, come on. I feel like he did as good as he could do, but his next step is his next step. And my thing is this, I say this, if you really feel like it's about the kids, he can actually do more for these kids at a bigger university because he's got more resources. And we saw basically as much as he could do at a Jackson State, and now on a bigger platform with that same, because again, here's what we got to understand. He doesn't have to do anything. Like, man is well paid. Deion could be sitting on the beach. He had a great NFL. He'll go back to the NFL Network. It's kind of like the Charles Barkley gig. He don't have to do none of this. It's hard work with these kids, but he's doing the work. And I just feel like it's a bigger opportunity at a bigger university. They said he's getting $5 million at Colorado. I heard a guy say, I think he went to, I'm going to mess it up, Southern or something like that. He's like, our whole school endowment ain't $5 million. And he's getting that. So the guys he can bring in, the facilities you can use them for, I feel like it's great. And I mean, I hope the HBCUs kind of see, now can't everybody be Deion, but I hope they see what he did and kind of further go along. But again, it's just such smaller schools, there's only so much you can do. So I understand, I put like this, I empathize, what I'm saying, especially with Jackson State folks, because, they felt like, man, we could have done some more, you could have stayed. I get it. But, he said, we're going to get to what he said too. He said at one point, I think he said, you either fired or he said in coaching, you either get fired or you move up or something like that. I'm butchering it, but, and then that first meeting he had with the University of Colorado players.
Well,
go ahead.
Can I hit this real quick? So like you said, some of the Jackson State folk are feeling like, right? And even some, like you said, these Twitter trolls is feeling like Deion is no better than the Black father that sires kids, right? And then gets a better opportunity, a better looking woman, right? Walks out on his family, right? Establishes a new family, right? And moves on up. And then that little money he's sending back, right? It's just like Christmas, right? I'm gonna buy you some shoes for Christmas. I'm gonna see you on your birthday. I'm gonna see about you, right? But I gotta go on and live this other life. So, and people taking it to the extremes, right? And that's way extreme, right? I look at it like this. It was a marriage of convenience, right? And I'm sure somewhere in the verbiage, there was a prenup, right? That is something, another opportunity come up, right? In which he did I think he had a 3-year contract in which he did fulfill. So contractually, I got a big problem with this is not just with this switch, but any athlete that signs a contract for an extended period of time, and then midway through their contract, they're screaming, "Hey, I outplayed my contract, right? So I want to renegotiate it, right?" I understand the opt-out clause and all those other clauses that are within the contract. I'm talking about a guy that's in his second year or third year of a 5-year deal. They want to renegotiate, right? Come on, man, you done signed a contract, right? I know you're outplaying it, but so anyway, I won't get into that's a whole nother rabbit hole. But with Deion, I think that he did what he said he was going to do, and like on the field, right? He talked the talk, backed it up, walked it out.
But now let me ask you this, because now let's shift to this other part of the talk. Why is it though that it seems like, because understand something. What Deion Sanders did, he took a better job at a better university. A million coaches have done this. This is not like a precedent that he just set. Guys have left mid-contract, guys have left midway through the season, guys have taken a better job. This is not anything new. This happens every year. As soon as the season's over, there's a whole shifting. But I don't like this whole he sold out thing. And I feel like sometimes Black culture, we can be so hard on each other. And it's like, oh man, you just took the money. Oh, you just sold out. Oh, I see how you is. As soon as a real university, a big university come, you're going to leave us high and dry. I knew you wasn't about, that's why I kind of didn't really like the other coach Robinson saying, well, he ain't swag. Because I feel like this, Coach Robinson, honestly, if the University of Texas came calling for you, brother, tomorrow with a $60 million contract for 5 years, I don't think you'd be SWAC anymore either. I don't, it's like, in the SWAC, you can do so much, but when we go to them Power 5 conferences, if you're really about helping kids, you can bring so many more kids along. I mean, these kids can come with you. And I don't like sometime in the Black community where it seems like sometimes when somebody does well, immediately everybody's like, I sold out. I thought she was going to come back to the neighborhood and all that. When it's like, well, let me get to where I'm going, then I can provide and show some breadcrumbs for y'all to do the same thing I'm doing. But I got to get established first. What's your thoughts on something like that?
No, I'm with you. No, I'm with you 100%. So what we call the Little Rock Nine sellouts.
Mm-hmm. Come on.
I mean, they wanted to attend.
I like that. Yeah.
A predominantly white high school, right? They could have took their, academic talents, abilities, and skills, right, and honed those at the, school across town or the one that was in their neighborhood. What we consider them sellouts.
Right.
No, we stand up and, that was wrong. And they got the National Guard and the governor's there blocking the door and everything. And we've made them icons, right, in Black history. But when like you said, a Black man sees an opportunity, right, because he fulfilled his contractual obligation. And he rose to the top of, historically Black college athletics and had an undefeated season. And has done all these great things, set all these records, right? First #1 recruit to go to a historic Black college. I think he's made his mark, right? So now he sees an opportunity, and now we want to call him a sellout. I mean, I don't think that's fair. I don't think it's fair. But I do have a problem. I do got one problem, right? Is he going to gut the cupboard, right? Is he going to take all those athletes from, Jackson State with him to Colorado, or is he just going to cherry pick, take the best players? I mean, we live in this society or this time and age where it's almost, for him, Deion, it's a perfect storm where we got portal movement that's off the chain, right? Where there's so much movement, right? And he DM'd all these 4- and 5-star players I heard, and he's got over 200 responses from 4- and 5-star athletes. So Deion literally can put together this college dream team, right? Without, like you said, without a penalty of leaving. So
he's a marketing genius. He's on Twitter right now. Like, if you're an offensive lineman or defensive lineman, holler at me. And there's guys in Twitter putting their little videotapes up. Coach Prime, check me out. I mean, again, the man has mastered self-promotion. So
Yeah.
You know, and again, that's why I say if you're a Jackson State fan, I can feel your pain, because who y'all going to get to replace him that can do what he did at that level? Because again, it was a shock that he came there in the first place. You know what I mean? But and I want to say this, I don't want to just be down on Jackson State, because they did give him a chance. He had never coached before, like on that level. So they did give him not. Some people say, well, eventually we got a job. Well, he might have, but they did give him the first real shot for this. But you know, now the game has to be played, and he knows this. And I heard somebody say Colorado might be the worst roster in the Power Five of all the teams of the Power Five. It might be the worst roster. So he's got a lot of work ahead of him. And they're not paying him just to sing and dance. Like you get paid to win, you know, and it's very competitive. And he's going to be in a very competitive conference. But I guess what I'm kind of saying is, and you made a great point about the Little Rock Nine. I love that, because it's like if you got a really, really smart mind, you know, in Detroit or Chicago or New York City, wherever. And man, this kid here, this young kid is brainiac. If that kid wants to go into aerospace engineering or wants to, you know, be an astronaut, you're gonna have to go to NASA at some point.
Yeah.
And when you go to NASA, we can't be like, "Oh, you leaving, man? Oh, I thought you was gonna stay on the block. I thought you was gonna help us." Right. And it's like, fam, I'm gonna help y'all, but let me do what I gotta do first. And there's only certain places that I can do that at. You know, I always say that, you know, you and I, we live in Las Vegas. I always said this: if you're a great musician or a great magician, if you're a great magician,
magic, yeah.
No disrespect, but you can't stay in Iowa. I mean, Iowa's got decent shows. I'm sure they got nice playhouses and all that. But if you really want to go to big time, you got to come to Vegas. You know what I'm saying? You got to headline one of these spots here, because that's where the best of the best are.
Right.
And so, you know, you've been doing kid birthday parties and things and stuff in the suburbs, and you got to tell them at some point, hey, I'm moving on. You moving on? What? And leaving all, it's like, but it seems like we perpetuate that so much more in the Black community, when if you just let that person, if you trust them enough that I'm coming out, I'm doing some things, but it's still for my people. Like I truly believe this. I'm gonna say this, I'm gonna give you the floor. I feel like Deion Sanders knows who he is. He's not gonna like forget who he is in a different climate. Like he's been Deion Sanders from day one. He got drafted from the Falcons when he came in the suit and the limo.
Yeah.
You might not, it might be brash. It is brash. It might be a little too much for some people, but he knows who he is. So it's not like he's going to get out there and, oh my goodness, I done forgot who I am. I don't know. That's what I feel. What do you feel about that?
No, I 100% agree with that. I think Deion, if anybody know who they are, you know, Deion Sanders, you know, much like Muhammad Ali, in his belief, right, in his values didn't change. A sellout is a person who betrays a cause or an organization, right? I don't think Deion is betraying a cause or organization, you know, for money or personal advancement. That's a sellout, right?
Yeah.
Right. I don't think Deion is doing that. I think Deion is being Deion. I think he's being prime, and I don't think he makes no apology for how he goes about doing his business. You know, I'm sure at some point Jackson State athletic director, they knew it, right? And it was interesting when I saw him last week address his team that, you know, that he was leaving. There were no tears in the locker room. There were no sad, because I think they understood the magnitude of what was getting ready to take place, right? I think Deion, like I said, I don't know if Deion is the first historically Black college coach to go, you know, from those ranks to that rank, right? Without being an offensive coordinator or a special team coordinator,
right,
or defensive coordinator or position coach, right? To go straight into a head coach. I think Deion is making history with on every step that he makes, and I think if Deion, if he does it, and he doesn't, like you said, he does not have an obligation to do this. You know, we put a whole lot on our Black athletes and on our Black entertainers, right? That they got to be the savior of our communities, right? When we got local heroes, we got school teachers, we got firemen, we got first responders, we got preachers, we got individuals that saw the wood every day, right? Those should be the ones that we hold up to that level, right? He's an athlete, right? Now he's a high-profile athlete with a platform like that's greater than some of our teachers and preachers and first responders. But I think the story is still unfolding, right? And if Deion, I guarantee you, Deion goes with this expanded playoff platform that's coming up, and if Colorado, if they win, I think if they win 7 to 8 games next year from the two, I think they won two games this year. It's
Terrible.
it's under 5, right? It's going to be a success, right? But you're gonna have haters. That across the board is gonna be, you're gonna have haters, man.
Yes.
They Jesus, why you eating with prostitutes and publicans and prostitutes rather in the low lives, right? But if Jesus agreed with the Sadducees and Pharisees doctrine, he was eating with them, they wouldn't have no words to say.
Right,
But
right.
but you always gonna have the people that's not going to necessarily agree and find something negative in something positive, right? So I think Deion, like you said, Deion's gonna be Deion. I think he's gonna put together a coaching staff. He's gonna put together a team and a roster. And man, I heard this way before I heard about Deion accepting the job there. I don't know where I had it, but I heard that the Colorado has this endowment, right? They have this athletic facilities that's out of this world, right?
Yeah.
They may be the bottom of the conference, but they have some of the best facilities, right? And I can't imagine the facilities at Jackson State in comparison to the facilities, the training facilities, right, that they
Right.
have in Colorado. I mean, it's got to be mind blowing, right? And I just think Deion is going to take, like you said, his ability to recruit, his ability to brand, and his ability to motivate and inspire young people to the next level. And I think I have no doubt he's going to be a success. Deion is Deion.
Well, and the thing is, and understand something. Let's say he is a success. Let's say 3-4 years in at Colorado, they killing it. Another school is gonna come calling. And put it like this: he's a Florida State alum. Let that Florida State job open up. He's not there yet, but I'm sure somewhere deep down he would love to go back to his alma mater. I mean, that's the business of it. I mean, I think sometimes people they romanticize this thing like, oh, he's gonna stay here forever. Don't know the business is these coaches and stuff. They look for their next job. They look for their next challenge. And guys like Deion, they love challenges. They've been, you know how hard it is to make it in the NFL, people, like that's a challenge right there. And then to be great, and then to be great year after year. And then he's excelling, as a broadcaster. Now he goes to Jackson State and turns them into a powerhouse. And now he's got a whole, these kind of people don't think like conventional people. Some people would say, just stay at Jackson State. You got it great. Y'all winning. Why even you're going to the worst team in the league. Why would you leave all it? But that's how these guys think. They love that challenge. They love to be counted out. So I'm looking for, go ahead.
So let me ask this question. So do you think Deion intentionally took this lower level jobs? It's all D1. They all on scholarship, right?
Mm-hmm.
Colorado job, right? Because ain't no place for them to go but up, right?
Right, yeah.
So Deion Sanders takes over a team, a middle tier team. Wisconsin just got a new coach, right? They got Luke Fickell, right?
Mm-hmm.
From Cincinnati. I heard nobody hollering about Luke Fickell.
Cincinnati people, yeah. Hello?
Selling out, right?
Right.
You know why? Because he took them to the playoffs last year, right? They were even in a group of 5. They thanking and praising. We appreciate you, right? But the black community got to run this brother down. But my point was this: do you think if Deion would have went to a team that's had relative success over in the past 2 decades, that wouldn't show the leap from 2-10 to 10-2? Do you think he took that into consideration?
I think he did. I think he kind of looked at all angles of this and was like, is this the best time for me to go? They went undefeated. What else can I really do here at Jackson State? But I think fans got to understand this. And I said this on the forum. I went to Michigan State, And at Michigan State, we had Nick Saban, who was considered to probably be the greatest college coach of all time. He was the coach
Hands down.
at Michigan State. And of course, he had success at Michigan State. He left Michigan State to go to LSU. And when he left, nobody was really that upset. You know why? Because he went to LSU. And the SEC, we knew, even being a Big Ten school, we knew that Michigan State was not LSU. We knew he was taking a higher job. We understood that. So, you know, some people salty, like, oh, he wish he would have stayed on that, but nobody really faulted him for doing that, because we know, you know, there's, again, for some of my lay people, I know you might be getting lost in these sports analogies, but again, there's kind of a higher echelon of teams, lower. That's why we said Jackson State is not in a Power 5 conference, but within those Power 5 conferences, even those have high level teams. So you have your Alabamas, your Ohio States, you know what I mean, your Clemson, things like that. We understood it. And so we said, man, I'm sad Nick's going, but he went to, and there's just more resources. There's just more, you know, it's warmer climates. You get access to more players down there. It's just kind of what it is. And of course, he won a championship at LSU, and then he moved. So now the thing is, he went from Louisiana State University, which is LSU, to Alabama. Now, those two teams are in the same conference, and the LSU fans are still bitter because, see, they feel like they're at the same level as Alabama. So they're saying, why would you leave us? They're saying you took a lateral move. That's how they feel. Jackson State, you can't say that's even as bad as Colorado is, it's not a lateral move. It's a So if you're moving up, that's all, to me, is part of the Black community. I'm glad to see a brother moving up. Now, if he'd have just left them to go to Grambling, and I'm like, well, what's up with that or whatever, but he's moving on up. He's pulling a George Jefferson. I can't hate. I don't feel like you say, he's not selling out the cause at all like that. He's still true to who he is. So I say blessings on the brother. Anything you want to, before we go, any last words on this before we wrap up?
So the challenge is going to be if he can pull this off, it's going to be one of the, unprecedented, right? And I think what it's going to, I think what it's going to do is going to open up more opportunities for other Black coaches, right? Because we got a Black coach issue in the Power 5, right? It's only a handful of brothers coaching, right?
Pro and college,
right. So Deion can be I won't say the poster boy, but he can be the torchbearer for other Black coaches to get other opportunities, right? And I think that suits him well. I think that right there is going to far better than him to max out in the HBCU and the SWAC, but to go to that conference that he's going to in Colorado, and then say it opens up in the ACC, right? And in 3 years he goes to Florida State and recruits out of Florida State, his alma mater, blows up there, right? Then, we live in a very copycat in the sports world, right? It's a very copycat type. Everybody want to move to the spread offense, right? Want to go to the air raid. Everybody want to run, all these different, the two highs. It's a very copycat league because success breeds success, right? So if Deion is successful, right, it's going to open up more opportunities for more brothers, right, to get that shot at that level, right? Because what he's going to do, I imagine he's going to bring a staff of brothers, right? And qualified brothers, because he already had some other professional athletes on his staff. He had a good staff already. Yeah, he did. Yeah. Right. So he bring them brothers along. Deion can establish, like Nick Saban, a coaching tree that is going to branch out throughout the Power 5. And that's all I'm saying. In the SWAC, they got plenty of Black coaches in the SWAC, but outside of that, there's probably, I don't know, 150 Division I schools, and we got maybe like 7, 8, 9 Black head coaches out of 150, when 70% of the players that play almost are Black, and we can't get any coaches. This is what I'm talking about. If Deion Sanders does well in Colorado, it does make these schools look and say, you know what, we've been overlooking. They have been, but they don't really want to admit it. We've been overlooking some of these minority candidates. Let's get some more guys. That's the ripple effect that I'm talking about, that staying at Jackson State would not really do. But moving up,
setting out a trail, blazing a trail for others. You can't be mad at that. I know, again, Jackson State fans, y'all get a little grace period, be salty, but everybody else, you should be praising his move. So, guys, I really wanted to hit that and wanted to kind of talk about that because I just feel like ultimately, like I said before, if you know who you are, then you don't got to worry about that person, y'all, being a sellout or anything. It's the people that don't know who they are, and you know what I'm saying, out here just trying to take advantage of situations just to take advantage of situations. They're only out for themselves. Sure, you got to worry about them, but like I said, he doesn't have to do this. So there's no reason for me to question his motives. He's got fame, he's got money, he's got everything he already needs. So that's why I feel like this can really be a good thing. But anything before we go, man, last words.
No. I just want to make it clear. I had mixed emotions at first.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
And I think it's a shock of there was no build up to the Colorado move. It was just like you saw the breaking news, and then he was on the go. Then he was on the plane. Then he was at the facilities addressing the athletes in the locker room. And man, he was rough. Oh my goodness,
he wasn't playing.
Man,
you can see right there, he wasn't playing. And again, full transparency, I kind of didn't want him to leave Jackson State for Colorado. I would have wished it was a different job, but like I say, the more I thought about it, I was like, okay, I kind of got with it too. But I initially was like, oh, man. But, like I said, he's taking risks before. He's going to take another one. We can see how it's panning out. Guys, that's the show. Appreciate my colleague coming on, Dr. Todd Webb. We got more shows coming for you. Of course, stay with us. This is Channel 5 on the Mighty Sharp Network, guys. Be blessed. We hope for sure you guys also always stay sharp. Thank you, bro. Appreciate it.
Shout out Channel 5. Money,
Yes,
mine.